बोल दादा बोल के ये प्लेटफॉर्म पे आप सभी लोगों को नमस्कार. My name is Nilanjan Datta. There's a bit of news that has made me sad. It was inevitable as far as the Indian football fraternity is concerned. Non-availability of players for the AFC Under-23 qualifiers camp has forced the All India Football Federation to postpone the camp by 9 days. The news came in. Obviously, it was inevitable that something of this sort may happen or can happen, but as and when it happens, it hurts. And it was there in the report. I read it from a report from my dear friend Mr. Marcus Margulao, and he has quoted the AIFF Secretary General Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran. Unfortunately, the unfortunate news is that Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran says, with the ongoing Durand Cup and based on the responses from ISL clubs due to pre-season, we have postponed the India Under-23 camp to August 20 from August 12 at Bhubaneswar. The list of players remains the same. AIFF Secretary General Shaji Prabhakaran wrote to all clubs on Monday. This is as per the report, and it's extremely unfortunate. 9 days of a delay means minimum 15 to 16 training sessions the team would be missing. Now we need to remember this is an under-23 camp, and despite under-23 camp being labelled as youth football, it's very much from the Asian context, with each and every country going into the youth development big and hugely. It's almost senior level football, because if you look at the Asian teams right now, 25 to 30% of the team composition comprises of under-23 players. Obviously, having said that, in the past, in the last AFC Under-23 qualifiers in Dubai, Igor Stimac did take the team to Dubai, the squad to Dubai, with almost no preparation. 2 days of preparation in Bengaluru, the team did. I was fortunate to be a part of the team. We beat Oman and we played very well against UAE to lose very narrowly. And due to the last match, came out second in the group after penalties were done, just to determine as to who finishes second. Comparisons can be drawn, but that was a different scenario altogether, because that batch comprised of players mostly who had been part of Indian Arrows A and who had been part of the Indian Under-17 World Cup team. So right from the age of 14 or 15, they were privileged to get the best of exposure all over the world. So mentally and a bit physically, they were more prepared than the team which we have at the current moment in the AFC Under-23 qualifiers. And if you look at the camp, only Narendra Gehlot and Amarjit Singh are the two players who have had a taste of senior football at the international level. The rest, all of them are novices. In midst of all of this, I really feel for my friend Clifford Miranda, the head coach of the AFC Under-23 team. He's in as the team go on to the qualifiers. He's just kind of Mr. Bechara in the entire situation. He can't do anything. Obviously, he had plans. He has now to replan. But again, the challenge stays more for Clifford, purely because you need to prepare this set of boys more, and you needed those extra days. Clifford is not someone who'd be going onto the public forum to express his displeasure and disappointment, but it's unfortunate, the situation. Now, under current circumstances, who do you blame? Do you blame the All India Football Federation? Well, I don't. Do you blame the clubs? I don't. So who do I blame? Well, you need to understand that Bol Dada Bol is not a platform to play the blame game. We are not here to blame anyone. We are just here to present you the right version of the stories, because unfortunately in the modern era, or the days we are living by, most of the stories or narrations are mostly one-sided. The basic of journalism, as was taught to me from my early days, is to give both sides of the coin. Balance it out, because there are always two versions of each and every story. Amidst all this situation, one gentleman has hit the nail on the head. And that's again my dear friend, Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran, the Secretary General of the All India Football Federation. What did Dr. Shaji say? He He mentioned that we don't have ready-made players at the current moment and we need ready-made players. Absolutely right. But how do we get them? There are three stakeholders to this entire plot and story. One, the All India Football Federation. Secondly, the clubs. And third, whom we all tend to ignore, are the state associations. Responsibility of creating ready-made players stay on these three stakeholders. Now, one by one. The All India Football Federation had a youth development program. It still has a youth development program. The Indian Arrows were there. It has been discontinued. Understandable reasons. There was some logic and some vision to go ahead. So the benefit of Indian Arrows, right at the present moment, we do not have a kind of, not top quality ready-made players, but at least ready-made players. And I understand that's been discontinued to make the other two stakeholders responsible towards the development of the sport in the country. I jump to the third stakeholder after the AIFF, that the state associations. How many of the state associations currently have a youth development program? How many? Can you count? 1, 2, and I understand that the intent of the state associations are good. They want to have a YDP program. They are working on it, the seeds of which are being laid, but the results to be visible would take time. Minimum 10 years, and 10 years if we wait, what will happen? The other countries will just kind of take up to a different level and we'll be playing catch up. Coming back to the bedrock of this entire situation, the clubs. Unfortunately, very unfortunately, even as much Indian club football has progressed, clubs in India are not looking at the youth development as yet. Football is a club-centric sport. It's not a country-centric sport. So if all the clubs join hands together, not for the betterment of the All India Football Federation or the bigger picture to help the national team, for their own selfish reasons, for their own self-interest, to create players out of their academy, churn out players, catch them young and play. It need not be a residential academy at all. We will be facing this situation again the next year, or the next year, or the next year. Club versus country has been going on since I've started following Indian football since the 80s. What's the solution? We need to find a solution. The national team coach Igor Stimac has been very vocal, very proactive, speaking to the club coaches. I differ a bit. There needs to be a dialogue, and as we say on this platform, Bol Dada Bol, you need to speak, because unless you speak, nothing will happen. Do involve the coaches, but I trust the dialogue needs to happen between other stakeholders, which are the clubs, the club owners to be precise, the league management, the sponsors, the state associations and the All India Football Federation. Involve the coaches. You cannot be expecting the coaches to sacrifice from their side just to look at the other side or the bigger picture, because a club coach is there to do his job and produce results for his club as much. Our national coaches have been contracted to produce results and take Indian football forward together. So if we have a dialogue with the owners of the clubs, I believe that's the philosophy which needs to be cemented. Otherwise, this distrust will continue. And if we go only tournament by tournament, again the calendar needs to be disrupted or maybe disrupted, and we do not want such a situation. My 2 cents on the entire topic, club versus country, because the refusal of the ISL clubs to release players for whatever reasons it may be, not to play a blame game amongst, because both parties have a kind of a say in this, and both parties, if you balance it out, are right. We need to find a longer solution. Well, that's all right for the present moment. We'll be having a big live on women's football coming up very soon. Aditi Chauhan joins us to speak about the situation of women's football in country, and with smaller nations doing well in the FIFA Women's World Cup. Keep following us, and if you feel we are doing a good job, spread it, subscribe us and spread the word. Bol Dada Bol. Thank you.